Prime Minister Narendra Modi, in an interview with UAE newspaper Aletihad, has said, and I quote, India is optimistic that the UAE-hosted COP28 will inject fresh momentum into effective climate action. India and the UAE stand as partners in shaping a greener and more prosperous future, and we remain steadfast in our joint efforts to influence the global discourse on climate action. He further said, and I quote, it is essential to recognize that developing countries have not contributed to the creation of the climate change. Yet, developing countries are willing to be a part of the solution. Akshat Gupta, my colleague, is joining us on the broadcast to talk more about this. Akshat, it's an apt statement that has been given by the Prime Minister that the onus of climate change belongs, in more than one categories to the global north. But when it comes to the solution, the global south, which is of course being led by India, is ready to look into long-term solutions.
Yes, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is in Dubai to attend the COP28. And also in an interview with UAE newspaper, he said that India is optimistic that the UAE-hosted climate summit will inject fresh momentum into effective climate action. And he also perhaps said that India and UAE stand as partners in shaping a greener and a prosperous future. And also he further said that it is essential to recognize that developing countries have not contributed to the creation of the climate change, yet developing countries are willing to be a part of the solution. If I just may also tell you that in Dubai, Modi is also scheduled to participate in 3 other high-level side events as well. And he will be there in Dubai for the next 2 days, and several world leaders are attending this climate action summit to discuss ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions and effectively combat climate change, because India also stands at the third largest emitter of the greenhouse gases. And of course, the Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be holding various meetings to basically discuss about the greener future.
Right. Akshat, appreciate you joining us. Ambassador Goyal, former diplomat, also joins us on the broadcast to talk more about this. Ambassador Goyal, a very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning to you, Vinny.
Well, India is obviously upbeat and excited about, this global climate crisis. But the fact of the matter is that, so far, the cup has been very far away from the lip, even when it comes to the most polluting countries in the world today.
Quite right, Vinny. I think you've said it really, because even earlier, the Glasgow summit, and so the objectives which are actually agreed to, even the agreed document, if you look at the review of the decisions taken at that time, basically, there is a huge difference between the commitments made and their implementation. Now, at this summit, COP28 in Dubai, there are indications, and there was a media report today in the morning that the members have already agreed on the fund to be established to meet the requirements of the developing countries in meeting their commitments. Now, the issue really will be that even after announcing the fund, whether the developed countries, the countries which have the capacity to add funds to that joint thing, whether they will do it or not, and if so, at what pace, who will decide what fund has to be given to which country. There are so many details in terms of the fund which are still not available, but it's an interesting and positive development, I would say, really. The important thing really is the CBDR, which again has remained totally unfulfilled right since the beginning, even though the principle is clearly recognized that the developing countries who are not primarily responsible for what actually is happening, therefore there should be a responsibility, common responsibility, but there should be a differentiation. That there should be a kind of a recognition of the countries who are more responsible, and they should pay more in terms of their responsibility and their capabilities. So let us see what happens. But as you said, there's a huge gap. There's a huge gap to be traveled between what the commitments are and what is done.
Ambassador Goel, what do you think India can do in terms of its own contribution and when it comes to the phrase leading by example?
I think 1 year ago, Prime Minister Modi had already made commitments in terms of our energy transition. He had announced that we will be we will be 1% or so, I forget the percentage, but by 2070 we will be carbon neutral. That we will have actually transitioned from the fossil fuel to the renewables, non-fossil fuels. Having made the commitment, and if you look at the papers published since then, it requires a huge commitment of funds, something about $5 trillion, which is more than the total GDP of the country. But we have made the commitment and we are proceeding on that path really. So I think we are well on that way. We are already making an effort for the transition, and I'm sure that we will stay on the transition, and that is really setting up an example for other developing countries, but also it's setting an example to the developed countries that we can proceed even before the commitments from the developed countries are met. But we are going to go this way because it's a common good for the people.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.